Yap-In.
Hello, 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 hello. Is this thing on? Am I black and nappy? I'm loving it. Today is May 11th of 2025 in the second week of May. This is Yap-In with Carl 13. And I am your host, Edward the N-word. The star with the most luxurious rock in all of the sea. And the best Cajun for you and me, single player Carl. Hi. Howdy. Bonjour. How we doing? How we feeling? Starting a little bit later tonight, or rather today, for several reasons. The first general one is I stayed up doing a lot of editing, so I was really tired. So I slept in so that I could be capable of broadcasting. And because of said editing, originally there was going to be a versus chat last night, Saturday. But because I had gotten back from handling official business in preparation for cooking today, I had to delay because I spent too long doing the thumbnail, and by the time that I had wanted to stream, we would have been going live around 10 to 11 to damn near midnight. So, delayed that for probably later tonight, or possibly even later into the week for next week, starting on Wednesday. Actually, no, not Wednesday, because there's already a versus chat on that day. So more than likely, it would be within the week of 12 to 19. So that will happen around then and around there. In any regards, in any who, in all the ways that matter. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, for the bona fide parts of the jury, to be able to address the fact that we are once again black and nappy. For I am not beating the allegations, for I indeed have a secret. I am a woman lover, and I have an adult woman fetish. Oh, it's so horrible. I've been holding on to this secret for years. I like to do it. I do it for my pleasure and hers. Don't look at me. I be kissing on it. I be spelling my name and her name. And cursive! In cursive! I can't even believe I'm admitting this little live broadcast. It is a dark secret that I have held deep inside to the surprise of no fucking body, and I'm not gonna change for a goddamn bit. For as I believe that children are indeed the future. But in that night, for that night, if she said do it, I'm gonna do it harder. Cause she took it there, and I'm gonna take it further. Cause it's for both our pleasures. Truly in the style of our boy, the strongest member of the Irish Confederate Army. I would like to take the time to apologize to absolutely nobody! Because she asked me to do it. What am I supposed to do? Say no? Anyways. Less about the mysteries and again the joy of life. I've seen and I have witnessed some really stupid fucking topics last night as I got caught up into a tweet storm. Even had a little bit of crossover with ya boy, the almighty Lolly. But personally for me, it just comes to the fact of the matter that sometimes some people really deserve to be embarrassed. They really deserve to be embarrassed. They really deserve to be mocked. They like to play stupid. And sometimes some people shouldn't have access to the internet. And so to celebrate the fact that I am given unrestricted access to the internet as one of these motherfuckers, let's talk about some shit. Let's take some calls. Update the tip jar, Carl. I will. I intended on doing it later today. Because honestly, I don't know what to put forward to right now. Because I would have said to raise money for Doom Dark Ages, but that's literally going to drop in 2-3 days, and I don't feel comfortable doing that so soon, since I have not even finished Expedition 33. I'll probably do it if I can figure out what I'm going to do with it. Let me go through and look at what the audience has asked for inside of the Casual Colored Memes channel for Community Group Gaming. Because we haven't seen any of these things change. I haven't seen any new additions since April 2nd. So the Carl likes to eat yummy food and mind-numbing alcohol. I'm going to find a better way to phrase that, but I guess that's what we'll call it. 1 second. I love you, girl. Love you, girl. But in the meanwhile, let's hear from the chat before anybody jumps inside while we have the chance. Everybody tell me about your days, about your weeks. What have you been gotten into? What have you been doing? What's going on in your life? I know what's going on in some of y'all's lives. And all of you have my sympathies, my blessings, and your regards. However, for those of you who have not given your opinion, please tell me what you've been doing. What happened last night? I had to go do things. I had to buy supplies to cook for Mother's Day. And as for everything else that happened last night, it's on the timeline. It is on Twitter. We've had some recent changes that we made inside of the server that I elected to do on a lark and a whim to better improve the community's ability to be able to talk about and inform each other and me about topics, and to also settle out and straighten up how we wanted to go about doing community information sourcing. Basically, it's better. It's now been made better inside of the Afroparlor to have better spread of topics that you can be able to talk about at any point in time that would be relevant. Some categories were merged into other categories, and categories from inside of current event station were obsoleted because it was less effective than being able to have the ability to talk and give discourse about things. So instead, we are full committed to the form system for that. And I have methods to be able to keep track of everything that is being used for material. So, quality of use, among other things. But of course you'd know that by using the channels. But anyways, tell me about your stuff, everyone. Struggling moving into a new place and washing dishes? Base. Have you gotten up onto your feet, struggler? Callum is working, and he's getting into a position to sit down to play Path of Exile 1, which is great, and he's writing. Loving it. Loving it. Loving it. Alright, set a goal. Monthly tip jar. May. I'm gonna title it something funny, like May Coping Fun Bucks Fund. There we go. It is now up to date, boys. So behind on so many games because between building to build an online career and working full time while paying off your debts, you're broke and you have no time. Boy, do I know that feel, bro. Boy, do I know that feel. I know that feel really bad. Really bad. Let's see here. The time right now is 3:54. Let's set our timer for 3 hours. Got this going. And of course, hit the boys with the link. Ah, fucked up. You notice me, you know. Gotta remember, it doesn't let me use the shift space button for that. There we go. And do the same thing over here. There we go. And as I look over, we have our first caller. Welcome, brother. How can I help you?
You.
Welcome, brother. How can I help you?
Just another Sunday morning.
Okay.
I do want to talk about the oh my lolly shit.
Which particular one? Be specific. There's like 4 of them.
I know. But it just seems like every single time he speaks some common sense to some people, they just flip out. Because you're not supposed to judge our side, bro. What are you doing? It's like,
Again, which one are you talking about? Be specific. There's like 4 of them.
okay. I'm more talking about the religion one, but I don't know about the other fires. They're going on.
Looking for some background music. That does not work. That does not work either. Sure, we'll use that one. So,
Like I said, every single time I just see him just arguing with some idiots trying to rationalize how they're not being hypocrites.
So if I think I know which one you're talking about, you are talking about when Almighty Lolly chose to address the fact that priests, as well as certain business officials, government officials, and public servants, such as educators, are court-mandated reporters. And
Yeah.
the reaction that some people have had, even amongst some of our mutuals, like Social Nomad Rachel, was for them to say, but your name! You call yourself the Almighty Lolly! Don't you know what Lolicon is? To which his response, as is my response, because it is exactly as straightforward as one can be, is, my brother in Christ, why is it a problem for you to understand that people need to protect children?
Yeah. Why are you getting mad at this? It seems weird.
Well, ironically enough, this was something that I've already had to deal with in my own post, separate from him, as well as interconnected with him on the timeline, from the majority of the content that we were describing for what we were going through between two different dumbasses trying desperately to be disingenuous on the timeline. The reality,
Right.
the reality of the problem breaks down to the fact that in alliance and in accordance with the same information that we had given concerning the Buffalo school kids situation, brought up by friend of the community and the head moderator that we all know and love under mandated force of death, horror, we learned that the Buffalo school situation started with angry cops of the Unsubscribed podcast, hosted by Donut Operator, who is a member of the Special Victims Unit in the Buffalo school system and in the region of the community, actively becoming aware of on his own cases as well as other cases. They revealed information on the first broadcast about how the school attempted to cover up the almost abduction of children and did not inform the parents of said abduction and acted as though, hey, why does my kid have a shitty and pissy diaper? Oh, there was an incident. Instead of saying, hey, why is my daughter and or son wet? Did you not want to help change them? Oh, somebody tried to abduct little Alyssa and little Michael. They attempted to bury the information under a system that involved soliciting business, government, school system officials and superintendents, secretaries, and in general, the community of educators to blockade and stonewall at every course and recourse possible to inform on what was actively happening to the kids and the reporting that they refused to do, as seen on screen here. And what these officials decided to lead with, as it shows in the clip, is that they refused to do their job because they were scared that the sword of Damocles would come down on their head because they would have done the right thing. And what had happened...
Which is weird considering that... Sorry. It's just weird considering that I think things would come down even harder if you covered it up, which you did.
Yes, and what proceeded to happen was the expected shitstorm that the Angry Cops and the Unsubscribed podcast and the boys of the Unsubscribed podcast expected. Because when anybody hears this is what you're willing to do to cover up things that are happening concerning children, it would boil anyone's blood, especially me, being an ex-Fed. Because all of us are court-mandated reporters. Because we not just lose the ability to do our jobs and get fired and dismissed and lose pension and blah blah blah, but we're talking about a wave of behavior that directly affects our ability to protect and serve. And instead of doing our due diligence in service of the community, we are allowing there to become more victims because we wish to save face about the problem that we are attempting to solve and ameliorate. So on screen is the pictures of the news reportings that they had concerning this. Angry cops Richard exposes child cover-up. Buffalo's angry cop alleges superiors covered up information. Social media expert and blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. Where first, they attempted to slander angry cops. And then, as evidence poured in, they saw that in actuality, the due diligence that was being done in such a way to show how they were attempting to dissuade from the truth of the narrative. For this clip itself is a response to an individual who attempted to act like such a dumbass fucking Redditor. This clip plays for 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Bear with us, chat.
Absolutely foul t-shirt.
Rich, that is your deplorables.
The deplorables is really good. Well, Nick,
Also, to answer the question, did I and the almighty Lolly do a stream? No. We had an interaction on Twitter. We'll go over that after we're done with this particular topic on this particular subject matter at the time.
you want to get started with the, you probably predates. We have a quick update, or what we can do, Rich, do a quick, hey, here's like a 3 to 5 minute segment to catch everyone up if they're just tuning into this.
Sure. So if everybody's tuning into this for the first time and they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, several weeks ago I went on your podcast, the Unsubscribed Podcast, which I'm a regular on because we're all boys, and I felt like that was the appropriate opportunity to talk about how the Buffalo Public Schools has been intentionally misreporting or underreporting and obstructing law enforcement investigations into child abuse and assault against children. It got a lot of attention right off the rip, and a lot of people critiqued it and said, hey, we're uncultured and foul, and questioned why I would go on a lame, dumb podcast and even talk about such a serious topic. And obviously, my reasoning and my response to that is because I trust you guys. I love you all. You guys would allow me to talk like that, and because we're tight and I asked you if I could just steal the spotlight for a second and talk about something that was weighing on my mind, you let me. And the thing that sent me over the edge, that created and started all of this, wasn't just my several years in the Special Victims Unit and the years prior and hearing about these issues for years and years and years with the Buffalo Public Schools. The straw that broke the camel's back is a recent ongoing investigation where 2 kids were nearly abducted. It was an attempted abduction of 2 kids at an elementary school, and the school had failed to notify one of the kids' parents that the child was a part of an attempted abduction. And then the school deleted the video of the attempted abduction, and then only after somebody within the school had the wherewithal to save a copy of it, I don't know how they did it, but they saved a copy of it somehow, they then gave it to the district attorney's office, and only then, when the district attorney got that recording, did they see that there was a second victim. And I was like, okay, cool, if this is what's going on, then I'm done. And somebody has to know, and a change needs to be made now, because this is egregious. And since then, the news has decided, for the first couple days, decided to focus on me instead of the children. And when I say focus on me, they would try to bring up, or they would bring up, my past with the internal affairs investigations and investigations with the AG's office. They say he's had numerous investigations, which is fine. I can be investigated a million times for every single complaint that anybody's put on me, and I should be to make sure I'm not a bad cop. What they don't talk about is that at the end of all these investigations, the only thing that they showed, including the AG's office, was that I was too rude when I called a robbery suspect for an armed robbery fat boy, and that I got in an on-duty accident in a vehicle. Those are the only 2 things I was found, that I did incorrectly. So that brings us to our autism army, who decided to flood the gates with, thank God, the positive comments about me and the local media trying to take away the spotlight from the incidents that I'm talking about in the Buffalo Public Schools, trying to cover up school assaults and other things in their schools, and trying to make me the center of it. So everybody called them out and literally changed headlines, which I think, Nick, you posted on, where somebody, I think it was a Channel 7 news article, was like, it started off with the first paragraph was me having a rocky past, being controversial in internal affairs investigations, and then within 2 days, that entire portion of the paragraph was gone, and that was about from every news article too, and all it was Special Victims Unit detective. All of a sudden, all of my shit was gone, thank God, and they started focusing on the real issue, which is the children. And that was because the community stepped up and held them accountable.
Headphone warning. It's not being a Redditor and trying to be a contrarian on the internet. We need to focus on doing our job. You're more interested in trying to give clickback responses about topics that people find important because you're a fucking retard. Take your ass the fuck back to Reddit, bitch. And that's on God on Squad. I'm 10 toes down in that. 100%, 1,000%. My nutsack. My nutsack. The whole sack. And the hairs. And really, it just breaks down that way. Because, as it's supposed to, we're not supposed to care about the bullshit. Funny jokes are funny jokes. Children being in danger are children being in danger. If you care more about being an annoying jackass, because you want to gloviate, about what you think is a funny moment to be shit and be annoying, about kids in danger, everything goes out the window. That's what's supposed to happen. But unfortunately, what actually kept happening on the timeline was every single time people kept bringing up the fact that, hey, this person is speaking on this. No, you just hate Christians. You just hate Christians. You just hate Christians. Your YouTube channel, bro. Bro, look at your name. Your name, bro. Your name, bro. Your name, bro. Your name, bro. You're forcing priests to break the most sacred seal of confession. You're forcing them to basically go against their religion, just so that you can have your glorification on Twitter for Twitter likes and updates. Redditor. There's not enough in this world. Inshallah, we will have you punished. We will beat you, flog you again, and by God, call Allah willing, flog you some more, and then make you read and watch video essays from transgender left-wing YouTubers. There are not enough words or slurs in the English language, and very few to 10 of them in the internet ones, to be able to explain to how many levels of fucking brain broken you people are on this topic and subject matter. You cannot handle this topic. You have to go back to where you came from. And if you're from here, you need to go back and get naturalization purposes to call yourself an internet denizen. Also, we need to make laws against this kind of retardation, because you are not safe for life. It is that annoying. Granted,
Indeed.
amongst the mutuals, I say this with peace and love, but everything I just said times 10, because we don't expect you to be the moral arbiter, but I do expect you to understand real shit internet drama. Real shit internet drama. Internet drama doesn't matter. Real shit matters. But of course that comes down to fucking reach and whether or not the person cares enough to stop being in their fucking feelings. Because it's just them being in their fucking feelings. Like, all this shit doesn't matter. What actually matters is the point. You're not addressing the goddamn point, and you're being annoying about it. Sure, it gets clicks in your in your ratio. It gets clicks in an audience. I don't say it to put people on the goddamn spot. I say it because it's true. It's like you try to explain to somebody, it is good to protect children. Nah, let them motherfuckers get assaulted. What's wrong with you? What? I thought this was America. It is annoying, but this exposes, at least for some of us, very much for me, how there are some people that are too committed to the bit of being an internet retard because they get off on being obstinate and defiant to spite someone else. And when you are at the point of attempting to spite people, at least on this subject matter, of things that I can see and read with my eyes and track and investigate myself, I don't have to take the almighty Lolly's opinion. I don't have to just take his word and believe it. I can see it. I can wipe the fucking smoke off my eyes. And yes, I'm gonna believe my lying eyes and my lying ears. But you ain't gonna believe my hands, because my hands don't tell no tale. They don't tell no tall tales. But they do tell great haymakers. It's not supposed to be that serious. And yet people make it that serious. Because they don't know how to be able to say, I don't know enough about that situation to have an opinion, and or I do not have the knowledge upon which to have an opinion, but I will find out together with you right now. For some reason, they have to have a take on the spot, and the take that multitudes of individuals wanted to have legitimately was, I refuse to believe that this is that important because religion. You don't even have to add in the factor of religion. You could look at it from the basis of human common law. I believe that I am not responsible for this because blank. And like a game of Mad Libs, whatever role you put into the blank, it doesn't excuse the fact how obvious it is that you should probably protect children and report child abuse if you see it. If you see something, you should say something. If you say nothing, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the amount of abuse is going to increase or decrease? What do you think will happen if the number increases and then becomes explosive because there is no oversight over the problem we are trying to solve? It will get worse, not better. And if it gets worse, what happens if these children that have been neglected, fallen through the cracks, or explicitly and purposefully ignored then become violent and seek retribution, either through the justice of the legal system or through the justice of vigilantism, especially if they are doing so through righteous religious zealotry? Suddenly, we now have a new evolution of the male and female loneliness epidemic amongst femcells and incels that believe themselves to be Elliot Rodgers in the making. But unlike those that came for money, who just simply had a sense of idolatry about themselves, this is a really hard word to say, self-circumreferential septive of themselves through the seal of the church. It's a very fancy word that means self-circular and self-fulfilling philosophize. A self-fulfilling philosophy as philosophized within the scripture of the church. It's a very annoying word. And when they choose to take righteous retribution against themselves and others and the people who abuse them in the church, what do you think is going to make people's opinions view that denomination that allowed that to continue and happen? Because there's a holy sanctity and seal of tradition that forbids me and ties my hands. Do you think it's going to make people have a good opinion about religion or a negative opinion about religion? I don't know. If I allow somebody to violently assault a child on a playground, and the only reason why I can't save that child is we're dealing with the backwards draconian religion and standards and practices of, I don't know, the happy Islamic State of London, do you think it's going to make me want to go to that country for a holiday? Or do you think I'm going to stay my ass in fucking America, despite how fucked up it can be here on the same topic? I rest my case and argument. All it takes is 5 seconds. 5 seconds of consideration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It don't take that long.
Mm-hmm.
So even before that is annoying. Then, because of how simple the position is, and it can't be misconstrued, some are twisting themselves into pretzels. And it's the twisting into pretzels over such a basic concept that I find fascinating and irritating. Because what do you mean you're twisting yourself into a pretzel? Just so you can say, actually, we don't have a right or responsibility as a society to protect our children. How the fuck? What kind of fucking sense does that make? You tell me your opinion about that.
This whole thing's a fucking stupid shit show because of that. It should be just simple binary thing, black and white. Not that bad.
Is that really just your
I'm
opinion?
gonna myself more and more by it. But you finish up.
No, that was not. No, I was asking your opinion. I was surprised that you had so little to say.
No. It's because it's so simple. I mean, you pretty much said everything I was going to say anyway. But it's just that simple. It's like, protect kids. It's not that. It's why is this an issue?
Is there somebody there in the background?
Yeah, I'm sharing a bit of space. So.
Okay. I thought that was the voices talking to me again.
I'm trying to find a quiet spot for this, but yeah, gotta get used to being around people again.
Okay. So yes, I did notice that, and it was fascinating. But of course, that was not the only thing that people wanted to try and get on both my case and the Almighty Lolly's case about. Because as I mentioned earlier, they will be releasing on early release, starting, I believe, either tomorrow. No, it's probably either later tonight as it goes from the 12th to the 13th, or they will be releasing it later on the 13th. Early access to Doom: The Dark Ages. And then there are people that will have access ahead of time because they are open mouth shills like your favorite snake on the internet. The Act Man, who have had first access to it, actively lying to people about the content in the game because they're too lazy to go investigate it themselves. Purposefully.
Oh, yeah, it is.
For me, it's the purposeful lying. Because there are people that are purposefully lying about the material of his argument and his claims, instead of just telling the truth about what is actually being discussed and said. Because they thought it was funnier to lie than to just be honest. They're comparatively the same, because it's pretty much the same as it ever was when it comes to political diatribe. But in terms of this material and content, it's pretty much like an open shut case of what is actually what is the malfunction. And for that, we just can simply go to the tweets. But do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So before, during it was the Xbox Developer Direct 2025, which was back in February, March, where they released the titles for announcing Expedition 33 and Doom: The Dark Ages and what was that other game? What was the other game? There was like 5 of them. Onimusha Way the Sword, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Remake.
Yes, the remake. There was another one, but it's slipping my mind. They had announced to us these games coming out, and it was during this announcement that we learned from the presentation what the gameplay would be like. And obviously, we had both the conversation about the material in question and the other content. Yes, South of Midnight. Thank you, Pip. Finally! He's on topic! We did it, chat! Anyways, I say that with peace and love, but you also know I'm saying that because I'm being deadass. They showed us in the gameplay trailer that the content was explicitly involving a new type of playstyle and a new type of combat. But most importantly, one, we're getting a fusion of a accessibility mode / cheat window, but it's not a accessibility cheat window. It is a operant slider module. So the same way that you would have had the ability to change the access of the content around the idea of you can change the gameplay to what you want, instead of just being make the game easier away from the base difficulty, it is actually an operant slider in multiple directions to make the gameplay easier or harder as you want across all of the operant sliders you can control. So your ground gameplay and ground combat, access to the amount of loot in the form of your ammunition, the ammunition system being designed not around long-range immediate keep-away options, but instead, as they claim, a strong and powerful system of mid to short-range combat, which many people have called slow and boring, but I am not amongst that number. And all of the other forms of sliders to affect all of the gameplay at your leisure. So you can make the game as hard as you want, and you can make the game as easy as you want. Full control, access at your hands, literally in line with you control the buttons you press. You can engage in the system, you can use it to make it harder, or you can simply ignore it. But they also showed the gameplay flow of combat, how they intend to do upgrades, and those upgrades are tied into the glory kill mechanics. And in those glory kill mechanics, they did not take away glory kills. Read this. They did not take away glory kills. What they did is that they added the ability, or rather they removed the inability, of the player being forced to watch a cutscene of button lockout in the middle of gameplay, in favor of making it so that your button presses are uninterrupted and are undisturbed with your mechanics of combat. And by that, I mean, they made it so that in choosing to set up the content, when you are playing, instead of destroying your ability to control your character, so button lockout, when you choose to commit to a glory kill, instead of destroying your ability to react to reaction on the screen and play less like a Quake clone, I'd hate calling Doom a Quake clone, but playing less like a non-fun Quake clone, it plays more like Metroid Prime and plays more like a character action game. So as you can see with the clips on the screen, there are glory kills that are initiated based on how you choose to go about the method of execution against the enemy in combat. Some executions that execute and cause glory kills, instead of being the cookie cutter, same as it always is, glory kills between the glory kills that existed in Doom 1, in Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal, as was expanded upon with Ancient Gods, they have a variation of different glory kills that are in right now that they may also add onto in the future, so it's not settled, that allow you to then go back to controlling your character actively once you have done that interaction. So instead of a God of War button press is the closest my brain is trying to get towards. Instead of a God of War circle over the head, press Y or triangle Kingdom Hearts to do fun cool shit, you just do the action and the cool shit still happens. It's not a cutscene. It's just an immediate response, and then you get right back into the action. So it's closer to doing character action gameplay in Devil May Cry and other types of character actions like it that doesn't halt gameplay and doesn't have you waiting for a movie at the end. And at the same time, if the glory kill is on a mission imperative enemy that has an upgrade, it pulls the heart of the demon out of the monster and crushes it to then consume the heart to then give you your upgrade. The Ackman and other people who have their dick in his throat, his dick in their throat, kept lying and attempting to lie by omission that this was how the system worked. One of which, who, because they wanted to lie about it, I escalated their mute to a block because they tried to be smug when I got up today, attempted to bullshit them on what was being described, as I can show you here. They were heavily in the comment sections, trying desperately to be smug and to pile on, and Ackman doing his regular snake thing. And literally, many accounts, including mine and our spear, and in general, were just like, me when I lie. And as you can see here, this is one of the shield chainsaw glory kills. They jump at the enemy for a overhead strike, and the glory kill plays. You roll through his body, through the midsection, cut him in half, the same rewards that you would get for glory kills go through, which is health and ammo, and then you're right back to it. The immediate response: he didn't lie, he was just surprisingly bad at exploring game mechanics. The guy never thought to shoot the humanoid monsters in the leg in Silent Hill 2. To my response: lying by omission and false advertisement / misleading promotion is in fact a form of lying. Thanks for playing. And the responses that I linked...
He didn't lie, he was just stupid.
Yeah, and the responses that I then linked to them was basically the Google AI overview of what lying by omission and deceit by omission is. Which, surprise, surprise, chat, it's fucking lying! What the user chose to do, instead of accepting that they were lying on behalf of somebody else trying to manipulate and mislead someone, is they decided to be smug. I need to remember that I'm scrolling down my timeline and I retweet porn. What the person decided to do, instead of accepting that they were trying to back the evidentiary example of the Yap-In lying, as he does, again, for the benefit of being a retard, again, on the internet, was two different versions of the following. The first was the lead up. The first to the lead up was the first response I gave, which was, when they received that response, they said in response to me, but per your AI overview as you used, it must be intentional. This was unintended. He simply never knew because he was ass at the game. Thanks for playing! Willfully lying, hoping that people are too lazy to look for themselves and research for publicly available information. Get his cock out your mouth. I didn't even block the right fucking person. Excuse me. There we go. 1. As per the first response he chose to be smug about, he lied because. 2. As per the reply you attempted to be smug about in response of, both extended versions of the tweets include the video demonstrably showing that he lied. Thanks for playing, elevating your mute to a block. It was very, 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 very annoying. Because they don't understand how simple it is. So, go off of Exocrusher. It's actually like Doom Eternal's upgrade system, where you get to then do glory kills faster. But instead of a cutscene, it is now just a literal button press. And instead of an overhead yellow plague, press X to kill him here response, you just play the game and you do the glory kill intuitively. Why people are still seeking to bitch, lie, whine, and complain about shit like we haven't learned from this yet is beyond me. But my job is to write sins, not tragedies. So I'm not going to entertain the retardation of somebody attempting to be an asshole because he wants to be special and stupid on purpose for the clicks and updates of other people. I'm just gonna fucking block and move the fuck on with my life. Because because my day job is playing video games and I have more important things to do. It's funny. But yeah, that's pretty much the long and the short of it. It really shouldn't matter that much, but, you know, people get a video game comes out, they finally get the type of video game they said they always wanted and were complaining about wanting, and they just demonstrate that they didn't believe any of that shit. They didn't believe any of that shit, and go right back to that bullshit. It's I don't know. Some people, they gotta have to admit that they like video games or that they don't like video games. Because it's very clear to me some of them really don't like video games and they're just obsessed with complaining, as has been the case with Expedition 33. But before we talk about that, I want to get your thoughts on Doom, The Dark Ages. How do you feel about the game going into it?
I actually am looking forward to it. I was one of those people that like Doom Eternal because of the more character action mechanics that were in it. And I know everyone else was kind of being split on that from Doom 2016 going into that. But I am looking forward to like this sort of more methodical, heavier gameplay that's going on here.
Mm-hmm. I think it is good and worthy of our time, and people are just coping and seething because they're not used to getting good shit, and so they're just waiting for another shoe to drop for them to say that it's bad so they can move on with their lives and pretend that it's not just another case example of, hey, you actually have good games to play. Because it's multi-platform, it's not locked behind any intravenous nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had to actually play a piece of work that's actually good, it will be replayable. You can be able to play your one forever game that you may play until you move on to your next forever game. There's people like us that are going from Expedition 33 into Doom, The Dark Ages. Inshallah, inshallah willing, we get to go from one good game into another good game. What the fuck do I gotta be mad for? I'm getting everything I wanted. I'm getting good games valued market prices, that have good quality to them, that had time spent in them for my enjoyment and for the relative excitement of everyone that we are all looking forward to, looked through, watched on the reviews, waited for, patiently for, and then received with an amount of time, and we're not kidding, and we got it with some relative sense of speed and haste, that instead of being told about a game that would be coming out 2 years from now, we learned about a game that was coming out this year, and there were other good games that were released in this year, some that we made good, some that we had to come around to for lack of trying, and some that just simply surprised us, like Love where you least expect it. And we get to enjoy it the same way we can enjoy everyone else. They're bitching about the fact that they didn't get the buttercream icing they wanted on the cake. I got 10 cakes! 10 cakes! And they're all different flavors! And I get to eat them! For the low, low price of not my arm and a leg! It's everything I wanted! Yes! Invest in better graphics. And they don't require 500 gigabytes in order to install for each of them. So I can bounce between them as I want at my leisure. It's everything I wanted! It's everything I wanted! So I fail to see the goddamn problem! Clearly, I'm just coping.
Arms and legs.
Clearly.
Go ahead.
And clearly, I'm just coping. Clearly, I'm just seething. The content creator and the Negro on the net is just gloviating for views and yapping like he usually does. But actually, am I know? Like the point of video games is for us to have fun, not for us to not have fun. And when we get what we asked for, they then continue bitching like we weren't here for the sake and consideration of having said fun. Clearly, it's a case of yitter being yitter. But I like to put blame on people who deserve it, and it's very clear that some people deserve to have some blame here. Because there are some people, there are some YouTubers, that have trained people to behave like this. Now, I'm not saying that it's all the almighty lolly, because there is a bit of it where opinions, depending on who's popular and whether or not they know that they exist for one, and two, whether or not they decided they want to agree with their take, for three, is responsible for it. The almighty lolly is at fault for this. I'm at fault for this when it applies. Christina, our other mutual, can be responsible for this. People within the orbit of each other, Poe, can be responsible for this, especially when we are doing so to be egregious. Not because we believe what we're saying, but because we're getting reactions out of people and aggravating them on purpose. Leftists are responsible for this. Like left-wing and right-wing social media, political advertisers and agitators are responsible for this.
That's the egotistical of me as well. I do it too.
Like, in certain places, in certain spaces, over certain topics, there are video games that we are aggravatingly annoying about to the point where it's like, alright, brother, shut up! I get it! But,
yeah.
On this case here, I'm annoyed because it was in the broadcast. Sure, I have a day job. I'm 30 and I don't get what this means. It's actually funny because this was actually the interaction that I originally had. But that's about something else entirely to get into on that topic. On this issue, for this game, they told us what was in the game. They didn't lie to us. I don't think Bethesda/id ever do lie to us when it comes to Doom 2016 and its sequels. But they didn't lie to us. It was not a cash grab. They did not pull an Ubi slop. They told us what was in the game. They showed us a gameplay trailer. They not only had an extended gameplay trailer and demonstration of the menus and the systems, they walked us through. They told us what the gameplay would be like. They showed us the combat flow. They showed us the mechanics. They told us explicitly what we would be looking forward to and what we would work for. They explained to us in detail, making sure we understood this is what matters, this is how it's going to happen. And at no time did they ever let go of our hand when they said, I'm putting it in. I'm going to be gentle at first.
Mm-hmm.
We took their sweet hand. We took their sweet hand into ours, and we grunted passionately, "Oh, Bethesda! Consumer! Bethesda! Consumer! Oh!" There's a meme that I have where it's supposed to be SpongeBob and Squidward, where it's like, I've been waiting all day. I've been waiting for you to blow up. You want me to blow up? Yes, that's what I've been waiting for. And when SpongeBob hits it, the rest of us just laying there in the smut of our consumer lust with the game, going, oh, because they finally finished us off. And somehow, despite all this effort and all this work, niggas still find a way to bitch! I don't know about you.
You know what the hilarious thing is?
What is that?
That it's probably the most honest part of ZeniMax. Kind of hard to be the most honest person in that group when you're next to Todd, always wise Howard.
I wish I could be more mad. But unfortunately, the reality is that we have no one to blame but ourselves. Because we have truly trained ourselves in this capacity to do this. Because originally, what had led to this crossover between myself and him was an entirely separate topic, which happened to have been the fact that there, of course, has been hit pieces going around. Specifically, these were the ones written by Anna Valens, because she is very truly a NVTuber and a VTweeter. As we all know, Anna Valens is the transgender games journalist, air quote, hashtag trade snark, who has been stalking people such as Kirst Gestalt and the members of particular VA management groups, such as VA Allure, because of the article that started it all, being them being jealous of the fact that they would not let in transgender male to female voice actor talents to be a part of the company, because they are creating a particular brand that is attempting to cater to a male audience. Surprise, surprise. And then, when they focused in on Kirsch, specifically attacking Kirsch, over the fact, in this situation, that was relevant, their involvement over the material focus of a video game by the name of Crime Boss Rocky City. It is a 1 to 4 player co-op FPS heist game, so a Payday clone, slab jank Payday clone, with enjoyable stealth and epic-killing spree combat, featuring a solo roguelike campaign that combines FPS and strategy elements with the hilarious cheesy voice acting that makes you laugh, so B-movie discount Payday. There have been people such as Naira VT, another VTuber, who's extremely toxic and self-centered on the attitude when it comes to the material and content that they're doing. I'm gonna read that comment in a second, Callum. Saying things such as, I know what I'll be streaming that week, dirtface, because they want to support the developers in dropping Kirsch, not because she did anything wrong, but because of the hit pieces coming from Anna Valens, led them to decide to side with them, because they did not want to have the backlash of a hate campaign against the person who, quite frankly, literally revived the game from a potential slow spiral of death into closure that will now go back on that trajectory of closure because they chose to go with the mob over standing on principle with Kirsch. Of course, as I said in the tweet, forcing yourself to buy and play discount Payday and defend the NVTuber/journalist jealous of and guilty of harassing Kirsch that wants to do this This being the dreaded 2-part clips of them talking about breeding white women in breeding facilities akin to Black Future.
Wait.
Oh, I see. You were there for that stream. I see.
I was not there. What?
For anybody who wants to look at that, here's the tweet. I will give this tweet to you directly, Struggler, and you can simply watch it in your own time. Simply because I'm not going to force everybody to listen to that again.
Oh,
But the 2-part video of them describing their fantasy of how they would like to forcefully breed women against their will in breeding facilities designed for male to female transgenders and cisgendered women for their desire and pleasure. Unprompted. Not bait, not satire. And they are all doing this to own the chuds. This was one side of that topic. The other side of the topic is this content creator, air quote, and stalker known as Bented. Now, personally, I didn't know anything about this user Bented. But they are basically the premier type of stalker that many of the females in our audience are all aware of, alongside all of you that are aware of the ones that are very, very well known. So, basically, as most of us are aware of lol-cal targets, such as real name Dave Riviera, aka Airbagged, aka Kate Bush's husband, who is now on his, at this point, what is it, 30th, 31st, but technically, from most people's perspective, assuming they have day jobs, actual day jobs, and don't keep up with internet drama because they put themselves into it, near 11th public-facing parody account that he's attempting to use the Banivade. We are all aware of stalkers, such as that of Alicia Mercante, who attempted to basically attack me and lie about me the other day because of her trying to go behind herself to stalk the social media tabs of users as myself, calling out their behavior, because she didn't like the fact that I knew what he was doing. Namely, here, on this post, that she tried to block me over, that there are users that are copying her and following the antics of both her and Dave, hiding behind the airbagged persona, putting together content that is antagonizing people, claiming, quote, I am an account that has posted pro-Gamergate content in the past. She does not condone this type of harassment, and that the user posting this is not airbagged. I have logs and information that I've been documenting over time, as I always do whenever this shit happens, that is not the case in the affirmative. She acknowledged this as claiming this is not airbagged, which then gave me the benefit to now confirm that he is now doing that exact behavior to other people as well, going out of his way to attempt to get as many people aware of the behavior that he's doing, because this is yet another parody account that he's hiding behind, this one being AirGrums420, or the other one that he had there was, what was it? I Love Grums something. He would then go on to do exactly this behavior, literally in the same day, post, remember when Alyssa tried to tell me that Dave doesn't commit harassment by posting images of their family to harass them on social media? Carl Farm remembers. Here's Dave doing that right here to Chibi Reviews. In clear as day, in black and white, where everybody can see it, very obviously to the benefit of getting clicks on Twitter. Because he thinks that when Chibi Reviews makes a message, refresh the screen. That's a bug pip. When he chooses to show the page and act as though he means this literally, he literally loves Wincest, every single person is clear that he's making a joke about the Wincest that is inside of fan service animes that like to use that as a joke amongst otakus. Claimed it didn't happen. Here's proof of it happening. Lick my butt, suck my nuts, wallow my balls, and make sure you gargle them on your way out. But he would then continue to do this behavior later. This is the type of behavior most of us are aware of when we're talking about people who are actual fucking stalkers. Benton, however, is the type of life ruination troll that they are, who does not know how to stop. In fact, he is the type that behaves in the way of media matters. He finds a target, he finds targets that are acceptable for him to harass, and then he does everything in his power to continue harassing them until he gets the outcome he wants. Which then leads us to how the Almighty Lolly and I had this connection on Twitter. It starts here, on this tweet, where they're responding to yet another individual, such as Kanisu, who decided to go all the way in on people like Ikaraki, the French rat girl that all of you fell in love with last month. And if you don't know about her, now you know. It was the one that was being stalked by a social media account from the guy who is in possession of the Yo Mama channel, trying to struggle session her because she was fixing her camera, and they tried to claim that she was doing the Roman Heil Hitler salute. Bent is a person who actively stalks and doxes people that basically are acceptable targets that he can harass, as we can read here from the active sliming of your boy. And for the benefit of doing so, simply because I have the chance to do so, we're going to record this as I put it through. Make sure to wave. Say hi, Twitter chat! You know that Bent is a psycho that stalks and doxes people, right? Like, verifiably tries to ruin the lives of women he doesn't like. Since he quoted from behind a block, "Hey Bent, remember when you doxed a VTuber after she left Niji-san? Remember when you haven't stopped tweeting about Cursed thousands of times for a year straight? Remember how you sided with a Vice journalist that has violent rape fantasies?" Reference to Anna Bollins. Where Bent tries to, air quote, "Bent just ruins the lives of people they don't like while showing walls of Discord messages and with them saying, 'I hate Jews,' and N-word slurs. It's insane. Basically making the same kind of toxic voice read that we've all come to know Bolex for. Then, he does this again. All of these are quote tweets from behind blocks, by the way. Because the way that Twitter now works, chat, you can actually read the accounts and search the timelines of the accounts that exist. They can't block you from seeing their material and from seeing them in existence. So you can still react to what they're saying. This doesn't work for the protected feature. But you can be able to see what a blocked account says to you, even if they block you so that they don't have to have a direct interaction with you anymore. He quote tweets from behind another block. "If you want a discussion at the big kids table, you need to provide some evidence before accusing someone of doxing a VTuber. The shame game doesn't work if you have to talk about me to avoid talking about the extensive receipts of others' behaviors." He quote tweeted from behind a block again. He helped dox Sayu, then gunned after Dokibird, to protect the honor of Niji-san, which then crashed and burned anyways. All you try to do is find acceptable targets to go full psycho on, so you can be a piece of shit while acting like the good guy. Yet again! A case of somebody having the justified carnal position of sliming on an actual slime ball. We love to see it. To which the Almighty Lolly reacted and said, "I'm 28-year-old. What do these words mean?" And I explained to him, as straightforward as I can, people wrongly use crash out to define someone escalating an issue as just getting mad and yapping, when actually African-American black vernacular shows, through Ebonics, sliming is the Zoomer mutation of the phrase that means in the etymology of the word, a justified and valid crash out. Mostly just a call out. Therefore, it means that you're calling out behavior that needs to be said or mentioned for context, because I'm 30 when you're close in age. Keeping up the bit. Too long didn't read, writ short, Bent is crashing out that he's being called out live on air. And the Almighty Lolly was sliming on behalf of all the people who had ever been wronged. So over the Hogwarts Wizard game, Kirsch getting attacked by people deciding to attack her because they want to side with a fucking transgender rapist with rape fetishes. Any person trying to go in on being a big bully on the internet instead of being accountable for their actions, harassment, and behavior because they want to not be held responsible for the hate that they give and all the other problems. This is a moment where the active work being done is getting people to come halfway and see from the perspective of a new person. This is where most of this for me kicked up last night. And this is then what launched me into my tweet storm. as I started reacting to these topics, doing research on them, and then coming away from the opinion by saying, you're an actual fucking retard if you try to disagree with this. I don't know why you guys are trying to act like this is just an almighty lolly thing. If the roles were reversed and it was me reacting to them, I'd take it a step fucking further, because we need to turn the TV off. Because they're annoying as fuck. They're doing it on purpose to be annoying as fuck. Nobody wants them here. They know what the problem is. They're just acting like a jackass because they think it's funny for attention and views. And the correct reaction is to tell them to fuck off and find something better to do with their time. And if they can't do it, we can help them find out. Because why the fuck am I going to tolerate that kind of behavior with people around me? This is the opposite of what I want. I don't want this kind of behavior in my social circle. I want people to understand what their job is. Our job is not this shit. Our job is the shit that actually fucking matters. If they can't handle that, that's not my fucking problem. And if they don't like the fact that I mentioned that, there's the fucking door, nigga. Get to stepping. It's my humble belief, in all seriousness, despite how much of a persona that I pull on, it is very clear to me that there are people that have yet to been thrashed in their lifetime for being retarded about something that is so point clear forward. And in this subject matter, on this topic. So I'm going to get your thoughts about it in a second. But to end the clip, there are people in this world that clearly have not had the fear of God put into them concerning shit that is so straightforward that even a child with a loose sense of good and evil could put it together. And they clearly have not understood what that feels like when they are doing it because they think that it's funny to try to destroy people's livelihoods because they don't like that they're not the popular one. And clearly have not gotten someone to get in that ass about it. Clearly. Very obvious to me. So, for the low, low cost of fucking around, you can find out today. I can get it in the blood or the blood. It don't fucking matter to me, Coolio. Because how the fuck are we gonna act like this shit is not the most debaucherous shit impossible? This is the reason we can't have fucking things. So, what's your thoughts on that? Take your time. It's not like we're live.
sorry, I was just talking to my cousin. My bad. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing. If people were just a lot more, honest about, cleaning up their own shit on their own side, we wouldn't have this problem. We wouldn't have governments coming in and saying that they will clean up your shit for you if you just clean it up yourself. I'm just saying.
It's really annoying for me. Go ahead.
Outside of that does that people fucking dox you for your opinions. Yeah, fuck those people.
What makes it annoying for me is that it is probably the goal of all of us to try to understand how simple it is to try to understand people, and the amount of people that are dedicated to intentionally being facetious simply because they want to act like internet trolls and behave the way that John Delaroz does and did in that live stream that we all did for the Versus Chat, going through how he backstabbed Master of the GDS and then tried to 1488 Glow post in front of Smash JT, in front of Vox Comics, Vox Day of all people. It's very clear to me that somebody just needs to get their ass beat. Simple as. Just done data. It's not for jokes. It's not for gems. You need to get off the fucking internet. You need to be banned off the internet. You can't be here. You're not allowed to be here. And it's simply because they take too much pride and joy in something that is not that important. It's not that serious. Or when it becomes that serious, if you can't answer this question correctly, you're not allowed to have rights. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it right now. Because it's not funny. Life Ruination's not funny. Now, the video game shit, sure, it's gonna suck for Kirsch, but they're gonna regret that. They're gonna regret that in the future. Maybe not now, but they're gonna regret that in time. And in time, when they come to regret that decision that they had in choosing to try and backstab her, they're going to come to the decision and understanding that what they did was really fucking stupid. And they're going to kick themselves in the foot about it. But with this Binted guy, just like with fucking all the journalists, can't get banned sooner. This is not a glorification of, oh, we just want to ban people. You guys just want to punish people because they won't behave the way you want. No, you need to go. You can't be here. You don't belong on this sacred internet. Get out of my timeline. Unironically. That's on Future Trunks. That's on the sacred Claim for the Kids. That's on everything. I put that on everything. Get the fuck off my timeline. I want to see you. What's your opinion?
I feel the exact same way. Man, usually I'm the kind of person that is like, okay, let me just hear you out real quick and just speaking nonsense, then I cut you off. But lately it's just been more and more zealots as opposed to actual people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There is a quality of behavior that we just haven't gotten used to fucking around and finding out a lot. That, for me, socially speaking, it's why I changed my standard of appreciating the opinion of every person. Because it's over the way that people analyze shit like this that you can't call them anything but a smart dumb nigga. They're just smart dumb niggas. I don't know how else to describe it. There's a phrase that I took from FT Signifier, which is that there are intelligent people that intentionally choose to be silly on purpose because they do not take the job of being informationally informed to be a burden that belongs to everybody, to make sure that we all see each other's position. Because the correction and the solution for the problem the game industry wants, and that we want as influencers, content creators, and consumers of the content of those entertainment influencers and creators, is that we have to come halfway. And there are those that refuse to come halfway and also be serious because they are used to just simply being aloof and a part of different places on the internet. But in general, the majority of these people are just they're just awful fucking human beings. They're the kind of people that if the roles were reversed back inside of non-Elon Musk leftist-owned Twitter, but instead it was an actual platform that did its fucking job, they would have all been permanently banned. If these people were influencers, they would all have been content creators that would have been banned permanently from Twitch, and that would have gone to Kick, and would have done the exact same shit that a bunch of fucking crypto rug pullers have tried to do in the future. Because they're just that fucking annoying. But their odds stick around because they've leveraged being this type of person with being able to get away with fucking murder. And for all these comments that I'm putting on the screen on the side for everybody to read at their own leisure, it's just so fucking irritating. Why do we keep letting them be here? I know why we're talking about them. It's because they're doing these antics, and we have to talk about it. We have to discuss it, but we have to bury these niggas. In the wrestling sense, which is going to be the stream's motto of in Minecraft. We have to bury these niggas in the wrestling sense. There is never a positive reason to ever talk about these people. They don't add anything to society. They are an active drag on it. They are a menace, and they deserve to be removed. Because if you don't remove them, because if they don't get removed, they just take up space and time and waste time, effort, and resources. They are an active distraction to every single movement that they claim they are passionate about. Because they are not passionate about anything other than being a fucking asshole.
Being a nuisance, constantly fighting, always acting like they are the right one in the situation when they are not. Annoying.
The first step starts with us choosing to cut them out of our lives. That's certain. But there is a responsibility that we have to making sure that you do not get in bed with a fucking viper. It's one thing to talk about a person who's willfully being deceitful. Where I'm talking about a responsibility, the act of sliming that was done by the almighty Lolly in all these situations, as has been done by me, as has been done by members of our community, such as myself, and Horror, and you, and others that have been vocal in their own audiences, communities, circles, and spheres of influence and reach. There is a responsibility that we have to each other, and the things that we love, and also respect the passions of other people for having. Where there is a responsibility that we cannot give up, and we do not get to put down. Where if we believe that something is important, we do not get to pretend that that shit is something that we can just ignore. If we're serious about the things we're serious about, we have a responsibility to making sure that they get taken care of. Then and there, at that moment, as they deserve. If we don't...
responsibility to make sure that our house is clean, basically.
Like, if we don't, then we're not doing our job. And we're just bullshitting.
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
And it's with shit like this every fucking day on Twitter that I have to understand where it's coming from. Like, is this fun for you? Is this how you derive pleasure? Is this a kink? Is this a humiliation / aggravation fetish? If that's a thing that exists. Like, there has to be a reason you're doing this. It can't just be because this is really fun and you specifically want to piss me off. People like John Delaroz decide that. People like Moni Mack decide that. People like John F. Trent decide that, especially when they're doing it for money. Like the money angle, I understand it. I'm not saying get your bag. I'm certainly not saying that. By no means do you need to hand it to these people for building an audience full of people that love to be obtuse. But what I am saying is, if that's what you want to do, I mean, okay, go ahead and do that, but I'm going to just make sure that everybody knows you're a fuck ass.
There's just a gang of people that are like at one panel in Spider-Man in which he's just going like, no, I'm starting to enjoy my anger. I don't know that's probably a meme or anything. I don't know if that's actually real or not, but that's probably a meme. But
it's the
I just find it really moves like that.
It's the relation of that one frame from a Spider-Man comic, I think it's a Spider-Man comic, of a dinosaur-related themed villain who is able to change and mutate the biology of things, and it's like, with this technology, you could cure cancer. No, I don't want to cure cancer! I want to make dinosaur-related supervillains!
Sauron never changed. His name's actually Sauron. I'm not joking, though.
His name is, in fact, Sauron, chat. Like, can we be able to understand that actually some people don't need to have the right to speak? That it's not about my free speech. It's about that nigga right now. That nigga, hang that nigga now, now. That is a joke, Twitter. Shang that nigga now. That is a joke, Twitch. I ironically have the rope right here in my hand. He handed it to me. Dare I ask what the title is a reference to? Mother's Day. Do they have Mother's Day in Europe? Pretty sure they do.
I'm pretty sure they do.
But you know, everybody knows what my opinion is on this, because all of you hear about it every day and every other day on Carl at Home. But I want to know your opinion. Do you think that we have approached the point now when it comes to content creation and crossover material content that we can now decide actually it is good, justified, and based to start deplatforming certain figures from our own content, not across the board, and saying they don't deserve to have a life? I'm not talking about life ruination. I'm talking about the polite society rejection that we all agreed to in the social contract. You decide to go out of your way.
Saying, bro, no thank you.
Yeah. We've clearly arrived at the point now where we can do that. You think that's fair?
I mean, honestly, I do think that if it's your platform, that's your right to do that. If you don't like this person for what they are speaking about or what they're talking about, you don't have to talk about it. That'd be fine.
There's obviously the part of it where, with things like the Goober Gay, there are people that decide and say, oh, you don't want to be involved in the problem? Well, the problem's going to keep happening and you're in a da-da-da-da-da. Sure, but I don't want to hear about it from you. By all means. I would like to have fun. This is anti-fun.
Or I'll handle it my way.
Or I'll handle it my way. And if I choose to remove myself from this person, or their audience, or their material, or their content, I am not doing harm to you. I am protecting myself and I'm protecting my peace. Or the peace of others. Because I'm responsible for myself and I'm responsible for the energy I put into things. And I don't want to put my energy into something that's extremely negative. But at the same time,
and that's fine.
They use the civility politics to keep themselves involved so that they can create the holding pattern that I warn people about when it comes to being able to make decisions to stop this from being a problem. And we're at the point now where we can say, no, I do not want this person anytime at all nearby to this content. If you believe in their philosophy and you say this is your favorite content creator, I'm going to believe that you're inherently a bad person and disinvite you from being involved in any of my material and work outside the context of when I explicitly go looking for the opinion of those people. Because I'm not going to summarize them and say that they're all bad people. Or that because you're a follower of them and you enjoy particular parts of their content, that you are a bad person as well. It's that there are inherent things with philosophies from certain types of groups and audiences. It's very clear that you cannot be for that content. And you are not somebody who thinks, if I just go along with it, maybe I can then become capable of doing this thing too. Like, to me, it is very clear that that is the case for some people. They believe that if they were be the ones that deceived other people, that they'd be able to cash out on that. And that is my takeaway and my problem. Back before, in 2012 to 2017 YouTube, before COVID, and during the first to third adpocalypses, especially the one created by the big gay wonk, Carlos Maza, who revealed himself to be a champagne socialist, who was coasting on money supplied by his mother's millionaire tech firm that she made.
Which is always hilarious.
It is very clear that for people like that, it should be as simple as, oh, so you're lying, you're a liar, you're doing it because you're jealous of your competitor who's washing you in the field, you're banned permanently. That's supposed to be how it should work. If you are maliciously choosing to create controversy and drama, to get into that sphere of influence and to get into that monetary, how do we describe it? The monetary save money glitch, you should be permanently banned. Like, it's not a question of, oh, you guys are just banning me because I'm more successful. No, we're banning you because you need to be banned. Like, we're banning you because you need to be banned.
See, the problem with that is that there are too many other bad actors that look at someone like Carlos Maza as a weapon in order to use against their own opponents. Thus, we constantly have bad actors on multiple sides, constantly sleeping shit at each other instead of actually getting down to the actual issue.
Yeah, that's all that shit. Like, that's pretty much just the influencer position. But what we're now dealing with is we're dealing with the consequences of not policing these people off the internet who only have an interest of making money off of misery and annoyance. Like Grums, definitely. Smash JT in the
Yep.
minimal of just being a supposed internet journalist, and he can't do the journalistic integrity of playing the video games he's taking article points from, and then hiding the majority of his live stream broadcast where he talks to his own audience the same way I talk to you all on something called Smashcast, putting all that material behind a paywall and basically putting up the idea of, if you want to call me out, you're gonna have to give me money, to which I'm not doing that. And then, of course, people like good old Osamer Conte, choosing to just harass people by proxy. And then when we take them to responsibility, they act as though we are not responsible for the actions we find ourselves behind, and act as though we don't have the right to tell them, we know you're lying, we know you're always lying, you are a dishonest fuck, and I'm not going to take your shit. Because, what do you mean because I posted about the behavior of people in Gamergate that I don't have the ability to discuss you? Huh? Last I checked, I can talk about whatever the fuck I want, woman. And at the same time, with people like Smash JT, I'm not telling you that you can't make your content, but it kind of makes it hard to believe and trust what you say, Smash, when you put your shit behind a paywall, and you stream at the ass-crack middle of the night, and then you put that content behind that members-only paywall when you choose to go live for anywhere between 6 hours. He's actually hidden even more of them recently, because there is more here. Where you go live for 3 hours and 22 minutes, or go live for as little as 11 minutes and 57 seconds. And a particular piece of content that I want to criticize you for is hidden behind that paywall at that point in time. There is a clear line where we have to decide it is now acceptable to say, no, if you support the opinions of this particular content creator, I'm just going to believe that you're an evil person, and I'm going to block you. Like, not automated.
I feel the exact same way about Synthetic Man. Anytime his opinions come up, right? But he uses his opinions. Yep.
Synthetic Man is an interesting one to me, because I'm aware of his crash outs with EFAP, I'm aware of his crash outs with other figures, because some of his fans are more annoying and whatever. But really, for that guy in particular, he strikes me as the same as Southpaw, formerly from one of the guests that was on EFAP. He tried to crash out against me and Jay, basically getting Spurg level angry. That kind of action, that person, he's going to go the route of people like Shark03. He's going to go the route of people like Dark Viper AU. They're going to get really mad at people that don't let them have their cake and eat it too. They're going to get really upset. They're going to be morally indignant. And then they're going to have no content, no media, no shit of concern to actually be able to be entertained by. And then they're going to be forgotten.
And then completely disappear, because I have no idea what
I mean, for Shark03, he definitely has disappeared out of fucking normal headlines. By all means, his channel still exists, and he is probably still talking about people and talking shit about them, however he goes, but you would have to go looking for these types of leftist crumb tubers, because they don't have popularity of their own. They're just like all of the people who belong to the dirtbag left. They're going to be like people like that of iDubbbz. I'm being attacked. Shark. Like, this person has been sitting stagnant at 121k subs since the material of his content. And all of this content is the exact same material that you come to expect, know, and hate from individuals who don't know anything about what the fuck they're talking about. Like, drama about politics, drama about personal in-group moralization and dumbfuckery, content of them playing video games to try and relate towards their audience, but they don't actually have anything of meaning to say. It's the same shit you come to know and expect from people who don't know what the fuck they're saying. And the clips are boring, and the topics are boring, and the opinions are boring, and are lame as fuck. Meanwhile, for people like iDubbbz, he's kind of going the way that most of us expected him to go. You know, he decided to go on the side of people who wanted to hate raid and stalk a man and try to attack his family through the means of life ruination. It is now morally right to say I will never watch his content. other than when it's being relevantly covered by somebody else, because he is actively making money if I choose to discuss him. So I'm not going to make money for him. I'm going to make him have to actually get a day job, because that's what should happen to people who believe that that's their modus operandi going through the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a reason why we don't just believe anything from any motherfucker that comes from anywhere. There's a reason why we don't do that. This is that reason. We used to be a lot bigger on this because it was always about my free speech, my free speech. You're trying to stop my opinion. You're trying to stop my viewpoints. I'm just trying to express myself. And it's like, no. But, to stop the loop, we've run out of time. Thank you for the topic.
Yeah, no problem.
Wonderful, wonderful. I hope things get looking up for you soon. And we will be seeing you around.
Yep. I catch you later.
I cut him off mid-sentence, I'm sorry. He was going to say, we catch you later. Enter! One Aqua.
Howdy, howdy. Let's get rowdy. I'm gonna get straight to the point. I know I don't know if it's a particular theme we're covering on this one because it is, Mother's Day.
No theme.
Okay. Because something I meant to ask when I remember you brought up your, it was involving Miles Morales and the actor being a fucking cringe perv.
Should make more.
What are particular, and this is more so writing-wise, what are particular, like black character stereotypes that you just can't stand anymore? Or you just can't stand, period?
Nerds, Poindexters, supposed lames that have a rich inner life, but they're treated like they aren't people. Mantle characters that don't have personalities of their own. Their personality is a informing of another person's personality. Political black issues being used as the standard definition of every black person's mindset and viewpoints. Treating all of us like we belong to the same type of caste and class. Black solidarity through social media posts. So on and so on and so on. For the same reason... God damn, I do too much damage. For the same reason any of us would be annoyed by for individuals that chose to do something irritating as this. And the reason why is because I'm tired of being defined by my skin. I want to be defined by my character. I am way too good of a character actor to be defined as one particular thing. And that's on ego. But on familiarity, we're more than just our race. We're supposed to be our race and our culture. And instead of showing how characters are supposed to be heroes, no matter what color they are, there are characters that literally cannot relate to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtles in a half shell, turtle power, unless they make them black. Everything is black, apparently. Despite the fact that black people do not own everything in culture. Whenever we get a reference and a shout out, it is the most obnoxious of us that rush to take advantage of it and claim it as their own and make it their personality for a month or a week or permanently, and then pretend that it's not annoying and irritating. Carl said, looking at himself and all his jokes that he makes, but I'm a dad now. These are dad jokes. It is annoying as fuck to have people be so close-minded that they can only see the character in one way, and the way in which they choose to see them is the most obnoxiously boring way you could choose to define yourself by something as simple and as literal skin deep as complexion. We already have a word for this amongst African Americans, which is colorism. And colorism is real. It's in fact what created the idea of the Jezebel. So, if we use the example standard of something like Haley Stansfield's perception of the character Mary from Sinners, a Jezebel that is light enough that they are white enough to be white passing, being seen as more attractive, more sexy, and more desirable than a black queen, like somebody like my mutual J. For someone to say a light-skinned woman like that of a character from It's a Different World, I'm forgetting her name, but we all know which one I'm talking about. The hoity-toity light-skinned one that talks like this. To say that a woman like that would be more desirable than a mutual like mine of Lauren, or even for somebody who is also as black as midnight, somebody like Poe being less attractive or more attractive than light-skinned African Americans like myself, that type of colorism holds us back internally within the diaspora. Period. And excuse me becoming FD signifier for a second, as I let his dumbass bullshit possess me. If the goal that we want is separation, liberation, communication, and consolidation, how do we bring ourselves together when we're constantly tearing ourselves apart? And deciding not just on the agency of colorism, but also on the disincentivized agency of activism, that because a person isn't of the right background, or the right emotional spectrum, or the right attitude, they are somehow lesser than, not more than, the sum of their racial parts. And the components of the arguments that they choose to use, the language that they describe, the tenements and the scripture or the political doctrine that they practice, the tenets that they believe in, the dogma that they subscribe to, or the social groups they hang out in. If I am not a TikTok advocate that chooses to wear a fucking bonnet and gets on this platform and yaps and yaps and yaps about social ostracization and freedom, while I actively am in a loving, hopeful, and gainful relationship with a white woman taking care of a part Puerto Rican, part Native American child with intention of making Cajun mutts of my own with said woman. If I were to be as so socially restrictive in colorism, the way that FD Signifier can be coloristic amongst the left wing, how the fuck do we escape the parody spiral and destroy the house not using the master's tools when we are too busy bashing each other's head in with the slaver's trowels? Just amongst the colorism of the African American black vernacular and the ebonics of the black community, we can't even have the discussion amongst us and our own. And almost all of these topics are women-coded, and white liberal woman-dominated. Every single time. It's not coming from the perspective of an African American. It's coming from the perspective of a white liberal. And I'm tired of white liberals telling me how to feel, how to think, and how to act. You don't know me, you don't know my struggles, and what you choose to represent my struggles as is not even close to what I actually think. You can't tell somebody what I think because you don't fucking know. Because you are out of your depth and out of your mind. You don't take your time to understand people. You decide that you know who I am because you think that you know my name. But you don't know my name, you don't know my story, and you don't want to know my struggle. You want to use me to sell merchandise on your Twitch channels. You want to use my takes and my clips and my comments to be antagonistic and annoying and loudmouthed on the internet. Fuck you for that, for one. And how dare you for two. But more importantly, in the same breath that you say you're for black liberation, you wrap it around, for some of you that have the ability to keep it in your pants, just simply using black people as a cudgel to bash everybody else. So you take the colorism and you turn it into patriarchy theory and kyriarchy theory and you will use me like a slave and then tell me, alright, slave, that's enough out of you. Get back on the high plantation. And then for the rest of you motherfuckers that are goddamn sexual goddamn violence, you use your fucking fetishization to say exactly what I'm going to put in that Carl post we're going to do for Radio Carl concerning the Smart Negro app colonizing the sheep's dating app that you quite literally want to trade the picket line for a picket fence as long as you're black Motumbo, you're big, you're beautiful black man, or for the whites that can do it, because the white men do it too, you're big, beautiful black women. The black and the berry, the sweeter the juice. The same one of yous that will sit there and say, you're fetishizing the black language, you're fetishizing the black people, you're fetishizing my hot black body. You don't want me. You want the nasty pillow talk you want me to give to you over race play. That's more abhorrent than the niggas that would want to make money over me being, quote, reactionary. Because at the least, they have to create a caricature based on something about me. You don't even want me! You want the outline silhouette of my fucking cardboard cutout! You use my body for your politics the same way you use my body to get you off! And then when it comes to the comics, you're not even showing what it is to be an African American. You're showing what it is to be a politicized black person who has no personhood other than the identity of perceived blackness. So you're not even speaking to the humanity that irritates me. You're just using me as a catch-all term for racism. The same way that the original interpretation of the X-Men was supposed to be an allegory for social justice, which just relates to heroism. No, you did not strike a nerve. I'm saying what needs to be fucking said. I'm sliming, chat. I'm sliming on behalf of all the little black boys and little black girls. I am not crashing out. I am sliming. I want to believe in a world where little black boys and little black girls can be able to look at little white boys and little white girls, and big black girls and big black boys, and big white men and big white women, and buff women, and Asian women, and Native American women. And I want them to believe that there will be a cream pie for you in the future. You can build a family. You can be able to have your adult woman fetish, and you will not be looked at weird for wanting to be with a woman who is within 5 years your senior or junior, within the age range starting at 25. You are not a child because you choose to look woman-coded. And when you go on to TikTok and you go to the gym and you see a woman who's got a little bit too much ass out at the gym, when you look in her direction, you are not treated like you are a person gooning in public and trying to be a corpus lech. Cause bitch, I came here too to do my exercise at the Planet Fitness. Why are you out here on the Peloton with all that ass? I believe in a future where I can be able to have fun with my woman and go out in public and people not think, hey yo, you know that he must be the stepdad because his kid is white. Because when you see me playing with his little white boy and him being a pterodactyl in public with an octave of sound that could break glass, you can understand that I am not a stepdad, I am just a dad. I believe that it is possible for people to get over these simple concepts that hold them back from understanding and being able to have true admonesty. But I believe it is possible for all of us to do it within our lifetime. I see the future. I have the vision. As I learned from Pierce Bronson with his wife, as I will do under mine. We can all get to the future that we are all looking for. And we will sing praises and hallelujah as we arrive the mountaintop. Thick at last, thick at last. God damn, that ass is fat. No, Carl, you're not crashing out. You're just gooning out. You're cooning out. But no, I dislike the fact that for all the character I have, I shouldn't have stopped the recording at that point. I hate and I do not believe that for all the character and all the mindsets and all the opinions and all the showmanship that I have, that the best a person can do when they describe me like one of their French girls is they just call me a gooner, a Negro, an African American, a nerd, a black nerd, a blurred, instead of just calling me what I am. An eldritch abomination that's wearing the skin of a Frenchman.
Nyarlathotep contained inside of a French pastry.
Nah. It's more like the king in yellow. The king in yellow rice. There you go.
The king in jollof rice.
Taking over the world one point at a time with a French sausage po' boy and rice pilaf cooked in a deep battered roux with country gravy and an egg on top, along with a slice of king cape and jambalaya.
Oh, why do I want to eat that now? That sounds good. God damn it.
I want nothing more than to be treated like I am a person. As I have always said in most of my material when there are people who like to disagree with me, as I quote from my boy Kane, hate me, but do it honestly. Why make shit up about me? Why lie about me? I just want to be a person. I just want to be seen. I don't need to be famous. I don't care about any of this shit. I can get it in the mud or the blood. It don't make no fucking difference to me, Koyon. I just want you to understand that I am not just a black man. I am more than just the color of my skin. I am supposed to be the content of my character. And yet, every time I could ever be referred to by somebody as something, I'm always treated like a caricature, and not a starving artist who just simply has the mind's eye to tell what's funny and what's not. I hate it. And it reflects in all of the medium of our work. Especially when it comes to characters like Miles Morales. Now, this is some of the case of like a born-again moment for Shameik Moore. Because I know if he was watching Sinners, that nigga was punching the fucking ceiling in all those scenes between Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinsfield. Because I was punching the ceiling during those scenes with Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinsfield. But the majority of most people expect and think of people that are black is basically Miles Morales through the Enter the Spider-Verse stories or through the stories that are relevant and good amongst his comic run. No, black people are not all a half and half troglodyte that is stepping between two different worlds, between the white world and whatever other world the whiteness is connected to, which tends to sometimes, for the mulattoes, be the black world clashing with the white boy. Oh, this boy think he talking white. He think he talking white. Duncan, I live in the suburbs. Oh, hell, he think he fancy, y'all. Oh, he got 100 Dijon mustard. He too fancy for us.
What the hell does that mean?
Some people think that different types of mustards are fancier and thus hoity-toity. So, Dijon mustard or pestle ground mustard, that's a fancier, more expensive type of cuisine mustard. So,
I don't eat mustard, so I wouldn't know this.
Ironically, chat, this is not supposed to be borrow language for another type of word. I'm literally just describing a type of mustard. But, the idea of a person is doing a thing to try to captivate to a different type of audience that they may be projecting towards. This kind of action and behavior, it is unnecessary and irrelevant in terms of most of the shit that we come to understand about other types of people and know about them. but more specifically at the end of the day, it is the kind of constant antagonization to the point that it's actual fucking microaggressions that we deal with at all times when it comes to the personalities of the people. Why am I walking? I could have just fucking taken the checkpoint of what affects us on a day-to-day basis of any discussion that we could have about this topic. Every place where it counts for and it matters, we are trapped by the perspective of closed-minded individuals that refuse to expand their horizons to include different definitions of what it means to be African American or to be prideful about their sense of blackness. I make joke by emulating MLK, but that is the way people see it. They see this as a brigade that by using these affectations that they can somehow get people to look at them the way that people looked at MLK. And it's not happening because they don't actually want that covenant between themselves and other people. They don't actually want to have that kind of involvement with these individuals they're supposed to come, know, understand, and respect. They only want to treat them and trist them to the attitude that makes them think the moment that you engage in any type of culture that is not the most devolved, embarrassing, shortening and slightening, and intentionally abrasive African American culture, that you are in fact a race traitor. They put more effort into trying to treat you as though you are a race traitor instead of what's supposed to matter at the end of the day, which is the person's concern with what is most important when it comes to that topic or that concern, which is supposed to be understanding and appreciating that we're supposed to be people first, but they refuse to treat us as people first, no matter how we try to break bread with them. And I'm tired of being told that I'm uninvited from the cookout when I didn't want to go to your nasty ass cookouts to begin with. I like being amongst people that do not treat me like I am a defunct African American. I do not want to consume the media of individuals that think that I am a race traitor. I do not want to break bread with people that would call my woman, my child, or my audience people that don't get it because they're, quote, not black enough. Knowing goddamn well my skin looks like this. It's irritating that that's what they devolve the characters into looking like. Because it's not just Miles Morales. Miles Morales is just their newest obsession. When they get bored of him, they're gonna throw him away just like they did to all the other representations and icons that were supposed to be iconic. Because somehow they transform the racial conversation from talking about the real problems that are concerns that we need to ameliorate within our community, and instead try to turn African American culture into the rule of cool, and then say, if you're not for black people, you can't have any of it. Sorry, black people didn't invent literally everything under the goddamn sun, despite how desperately they want to pretend that people did. Every time they lie about an actual achievement that we had, such as the filament that allowed us to make more longevitous and useful light bulbs, and other such shit that they try to claim that we did. So actual fucking Cartoon Network, don't be racist, historical revisionism. I'm not happy for it, I'm not for it, I don't want to see it, I don't want to be involved in it. And if it's going to be that bad, alright, I will be French. I would rather be French than be black. Because at least that means I get to say I claim things like Expedition 33. If that's how we're going to be petty, the rest of the world will follow in suit. And they will not be sorry about doing it. That's how I feel about it. Now, I mean, here's where you can tell me about how you feel, because there's a deeper goal here that we can mine down to. But let's start with there being the setting of the tone. Now, what do you think?
Think specifically on the nature of these stereotypes, you mean?
On people choosing to act the way that they do about African American, black and actor, African American culture, African American everything, black, everything black. How do you feel about it?
I find that in an ironic way, they're trying to claim that as this form of like, yeah, I'm proud and all that, but on some level, it almost seems like that it's more insecurity than anything. Because if you have to base all of your pride specifically on an unchangeable characteristic that is superficial, literally skin deep, doesn't that just make you hyper fucking insecure? Because you're not basing it on something you can actually do, something that makes you you. You have to base it on something that is literally just something superficial. Something that, yeah, people can't take away from you, but it's like, what does that change? There's plenty of people who have similar tones or complexions, the same way that there's people of similar height, complexion, hair color, eye color as me. That doesn't change anything. I'm judged based on the shit that I say, the shit that I do, and the shit that I make of myself. So to see this whole rigmarole of trying to take shit like black excellence and make it an unironic thing just seems like either insecurity, or more so you just don't really respect yourself or people who look like you. And it's like, why? Is it just clout? Is that all this is? I think there's something under the hood here that's wrong with that person, and we gotta investigate, because I'm concerned at this point.
I agree.
It's the same thing that I thought about when I brought up that the one stream of one of the scenes I still can see in my mind from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is the scene where Carlton is basically dropped from the, what was it called specifically, was it the varsity house, or was it the...
We talked about this before.
No,
he was dropped.
Yes.
He was being disinvited from being involved with it because they wanted people who were cool to school, like Will, which was the cool black people that are a part of the... Technically, Will is representative of the people who are just existing and being black. And the person who was representative of the fraternity that he was being invited to is the type of in-the-cut African-American black vernacular ebonics learned young scholar that didn't want someone that was considered not hood enough, not black enough, not legal enough to truly call himself black as a Poindexter character, which is another fucking stereotype that I despise, but not as much as I despise the hood weeb Miles Morales enjoyers. And Carlton represented pretty much any person who did not fit the constringent corporate exemplification of white liberal status of what they considered blackness to be.
Because the thing that sticks out in that scene in my mind is the guy kicking him out was the real sellout. Because it's like you're focusing on this stupid shit that's not that substantive. Again, is all just to make you look good, and the whole bit is like it just makes Carlton look like the better man. Because even though he may just be a part of a stereotype, I would rather want to see another Carlton than anything you get from something like most depictions of Miles Morales any day. Because at least Carlton was a good fucking character and a good fucking person. Like, he's a guy, despite how nerdy he can be, I would unironically probably want as a friend. Like, he's doing well for himself. He comes from a good family. He's successful enough to go to like Ivy League schools and whatnot, and open the doors up from there. He's got potential. He's got a future. Like, this is a man that I could see later on actually becoming the head of his own household, not unlike his father. Unironically, I could see that from him, even though it's like, yeah, he's comic relief, but that doesn't change anything. He's got heart. And that's probably why he and Will connect so goddamn well as characters. They both have heart. And that's the one thing I think is missing from a lot of these people who preach this shit, and a lot of the characters they use, to pull a cloud shark as a cudgel. They lack the heart. They're lacking the fifth element, to bring up a certain French director, or that fifth power ring from Captain Planet. They're missing heart.
Technically, they're missing passion. They're missing genuine.
That too.
They're missing genuine
Sincerity,
compassion.
passion, investment, actual pride. Something you could actually stake a bit of pride into the shit you do and what you love. And it's just that.
I would better easily define it as they are uncommitted to their position. They're wishy-washy.
Yes. If you can't, and you've even said this straight up, if you can't stand 10 toes behind what you say, it deserves to be destroyed. If you can't stand 100% by the shit you say and you believe, you deserve to have it be destroyed. Because that which cannot, what was it specifically? That which cannot, I'm trying to remember the phrasing. If it cannot stand on its own, like, that's not necessarily the rule of society, that's the rule of nature. That's just nature at that point. I wish I remember the wording. I can't believe I'm blanking on it. Because it's on the tip of my fucking tongue. But anyways, you get my point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just... I don't know.
Fortunately, you don't have to know.
I guess that's a good thing. I guess that's the silver lining. I really don't have to know. And frankly, I don't know if I want to know. From all the shit I hear, from stuff you talk about, I don't know if I want to know.
It's definitely very much a case of you don't want to be on the levels of detail and interest and research that I'm on. Because it's very tormenting and can actively keep you up at night. Fighting with arguments in your head that you have to prepare yourself with, because these types of individuals are the kinds of people that, because they are smart and they are being facetious on purpose, you want to strangle, because this is the literal difference between everything you've ever wanted and you hoping to be annoying as fuck to get something over on someone. But the problem is that even if I wanted to give them the benefit of said doubt, at the end of the day, they are responsible for their outcomes and the ways that they choose to handle themselves with what they choose to do. And not many of them, too many of them, focus more on being irritating about that than being understanding about that. And it sickens me how many people are willing to just actively be deceitful in this way. Like it doesn't matter, when it clearly does matter. Especially on how they choose to talk about it, when they say that it matters to them. I think that it is important that we don't forget how explicit shit can become and can go when it comes to shit like the concerns we're concerned with. It's supposed to be important that we understand how important our words are to commune with other people. And instead, they just choose to do this in the way that they choose to. They choose to be stubborn. They choose to be annoying. They choose to not include, but exclude. Because they don't actually want people involved. They only want culture for themselves and none for the rest of us. And it traps them and keeps them locked like crabs in a bucket. And any attempt to save them from this dynamic, they treat like I've stolen something from them, thus showing how trapped in this mindset they are. They will put all caution to the wind and go full tilt for the shit that does not matter and does not help. Because they would rather destroy themselves and others than worry about the shit that brings us together. They care more about the things that tear us apart than the things that bring us together.
That's just sad. That shit's just depressing.
That's life.
Mm-hmm.
I can't save everybody from themselves, but it's not my
Should
job.
you even save everybody from themselves?
That's not a topic that we'd be able to get into here because it will be here forever.
I'm sorry.
I can't save them from themselves with their self-desired adulation to destroy their ability to commune with other people. Because I don't have the authority to do it for them. I can't decide to suspend that understanding that we all innately have for community, as Callum nicely added for me. Thank you. I cannot decide for you that you're going to do what is important and be a civil individual who will get involved on a community level with the things that actually matter amongst individuals like myself. It is up to you to decide that you want to leave that toxic environment. If they don't leave the toxic environment, I don't have to help them. But they clearly need my help. They need all of our help, technically. But because they are unwilling to do the hard work of accepting that they have a problem, and that problem is trapping them as it is, that from there, nice, I got two. It is on them to decide how they're going to move forward from there, not me. It's not my job. I ain't got to do it. You can't make me. Let's see if I can get one with a, no, that's, I don't have enough. Oh, that'll do. They are not willing to accept the things that they can change and focus on the things that they cannot change. So as much as I could try to help them in that way, I feel no obligation to keep doing so, because I can't keep reaching out to save those people when it comes to that. None of us really can, especially amongst those that have more reason not to help the black community because they were a victim of said colorism. I know I've gotten there all my goddamn life. That doesn't stop me from trying to reach out and understand people across the divide. However, it is really hard for me to have somebody say, why don't you just try to forgive someone for something? Why? Not only do they have to show that they want it, they have to show that they deserve to have that forgiveness. Many of them don't deserve my ire. They deserve a blazing fist. Because when they had a chance to do something, they ain't do shit. So, fuck them. I don't know what your opinion about that is, but I know my opinion about it is.
Help those you can help. Don't bother helping people who refuse to help themselves. Simple as. And the point I wanted to make, because I know Virtuous Anglo pointed this out. What my point mainly wasn't just simply, it's like you're entitled to what you can fit. It's more so. I was trying to fucking say it was like, if your defense is like wafer thin, it's built out of graham crackers, versus against something that's made out of iron. That thing made out of iron, as an argument, has every right to destroy your pathetic defense. Like, an animal in nature, if it fails to escape a predator, by the law of the jungle, by the law of the animal kingdom, it kind of deserved to get eaten. That's what I meant. Like, if you refuse to bring up defense or make an argument that's solid and stands on its own point, it deserves to be destroyed. If you refuse to raise, even if it's a philosophical, ideological, political foundation, what have you, if it is not built in a solid foundation, if you make it shittily, almost on purpose, it has every conceivable right to be destroyed by whatever is conceivably stronger than it. Period. That was my point. I just worded it improperly because I was trying to remember something you specifically, Carl, said. The way you phrased it stuck to me, and I couldn't remember.
Why did I suggest taking notes and writing it down?
I know, I might actually have to do that with old videos, because I've watched them, like, well, repeatedly. It's just I haven't watched it in a while, but I remembered it. I remember what it made me think, but I couldn't remember the exact wording, and that's the biggest pain in the ass. I'm gonna have to start doing that.
Obsidian is free.
I've been doing it more and more often.
Obsidian is free. You have more to add on?
I'm not sure if anything specifically to that subject. I'm trying to think. Can't remember what exactly I wanted to ask as well. Bear with me for a second. It's been a long day. My brain's melted.
Okay.
There was the question about this. There was the question about this specifically the stereotypes. What was the other one? Right. With the success of something like Expedition 33, and to an extent other games like Baldur's Gate 3, do you think RPGs are coming back on the rise? Because that's something I frankly would be happy with.
In whose mind? The public audience opinion or the opinion of the people who actually play the video games that they pay for?
Honestly, both at this point. Because even though I have not touched Baldur's Gate 3 or Expedition 33, so I can't really have an opinion on them, I can say this much. They've both made RPG history. Now granted, the games I tried to recommend to you, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous and Warhammer Rogue Trader, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous came out before Baldur's Gate 3, and I think that's a game that honestly should earn its accolades. It's a really damn good game. Same thing with Rogue Trader. It's a game that I've made multiple characters for, like a good RPG ought to do. It's a game that you can lose yourself in. With Baldur's Gate 3, I don't really imagine going through that game more than maybe 2 times at most. Mainly for the story reasons and for a specific build that just melts through the difficulty of that game. But I guess in the layman's perspective of like the average gamer is like, oh wow, good RPGs are actually coming back, and they're turn-based. Holy shit! Is this like hopefully? I hope this is a sign that we're gonna get RPGs back in the not the mainstream, but back in the swing of things, like before Oblivion, that sort of thing. Like when Morrowind was one of the dominating RPGs of the early, like back when I was born. Do you think that's possible? Or would they all be like, I guess you could say pseudo turn-based, like in terms of more so combat, like Persona SMT-like games?
Can you repeat the question, please?
I'm sorry. With the success, for better or for worse, of something like Baldur's Gate 3 or Expedition 33, do you think RPGs could come back, basically?
Well, my first answer was pretty much the whole topic in itself in general, but I can express and go forward.
Okay.
RPGs, both Western design RPGs, as I express them as WJRPGs, and actual Japanese RPGs, as well as the Baldur's Gate designed Western RPG that plays from the style of using a known system of calculation to do the internal game calculations for you. So not a proprietary system like that from Shadows of Mordor, but instead the types of rule systems behind GURPS, Pathfinder, and obviously various editions of Dungeons & Dragons and Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Some of the most popular ones using D&D 2.5, D&D 3, D&D 3.5, and recently with Baldur's Gate 3, licensed for Larian using D&D 5e, just simply for the computer RPG game, the CRPG. The WJ and CRPG genre was never gone. It never left the building. It was never unpopular.
Okay.
It never stopped having success. They never stopped having money. They never stopped not selling video games. The problem of what changed about the perception of JRPGs was the people who were choosing to take part in them, the discussions that they wanted to have around them, and the dumbass opinions of tourists that then chose to take on a disingenuous tone of subterfuge based on the same thing I discussed with Struggler, making it about themselves and distracting from what's supposed to bring them together, which is the joy of the game, rather than what they wanted to focus on, which is the dumbass bullshit they wanted to go on and gloviate about. They changed the perspective about the games to act as though the crime that they had committed was being too good, when actually they were doing exactly what they were supposed to do the entire time, which was being good single player and sometimes occasionally multiplayer or couch co-op immersive experiences. The amount of immersion in for Expedition 33, as I've been told and I've been hearing, is a 30 to 60 hour campaign. And for most JRPGs, especially those that I play from my favorite franchises, which is Phantasy Star and Star Ocean, somewhere between 100 to 300 hours of gameplay and material. The genre never was not popular. It was the tourist branded access point that they became familiar with things like Final Fantasy. From Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy X is the most common jump people have when they go to consume content with the franchises they are associated with. I know, for most people, they literally will skip things like Final Fantasy II, but I know that it's because it's the worst one. They'll go to Final Fantasy III, then they'll go to Final Fantasy IV, they'll skip 5, they might have a love of 6, maybe they go back to play After Years for Final Fantasy IV, then they jump to 7, and they sit on 7, Crisis Core, Type 0, and all the other updates of Final Fantasy VII related content that is unrelated to Rebirth and the remake or Intergrade. Then they jump to Final Fantasy X, they'll play Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X International, the Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD re-release that now includes all the content that was locked behind the region locks, Final Fantasy X-2 on that same edition. They will skip 11, because 11 is the online version, is the first online version. Still running, by the way. They'll decide if they decide to get involved with Nova Crystallis, which started with 12, and a couple of other titles in the past, probably even including things like 9. But they don't popularize the Tale of the New Crystal subsplit. The same way that they would rather acknowledge the Kingdom Hearts variations of those characters, rather than the in-franchise variations of the characters. They'll jump across 13, they'll slander 13, and talk about all the jokes that became running jokes and themes that we now remember as memes from people like the Spoony One, featuring his phrase, the hallway, a horrible structured map that instead of having wide designs and puzzles and methods of accessing it that were comparative to the way that you could traverse through a maze in a 3D-like environment involving things like one of my favorite goats, Legends of Dragoon, or for some people who actually played it, Chrono Cross, instead of recognizing that they did a poor adaptation of those tactics and those mechanics, they slander the entire concept and say that the Western JRPG is dead. But not by their own opinion, from the opinion of the fucking same journalists that don't want to spend 100 to 300 hours before giving their first impression review of the game. And there are people that have tried to claim as different. I'm going to be the first to tell you of my own volition. No, you don't need to play the entire game from beginning to end to fully critique it. But I do expect you to engage with the systems before you tell me something about it that I can't learn myself. The same way I've said every time on my broadcast and will continue to in the future. If you can't tell me something that I can't find out about the video game myself alone, I'm not going to go off of your word and your advice. Sure, it can be there. You're entitled to your opinion, but I don't give a goddamn. Because I could tell my audience better than you could probably tell yours. Because I will show them and they'll watch and learn alongside me. Because that's the benefit that comes with playing the new games. They then took that same energy and they had it across the entirety of Final Fantasy XIII. People didn't play Final Fantasy XIII, 13-2. There were too many people who skipped Lightning Returns. And that's why I keep getting surprised, or rather I keep surprising people when I will mention how much I love Lightning Returns. Despite the fact that I will say, at best, 13-2 is mid, but the villain is goated. And Lightning, in Final Fantasy XIII, along with the story of the Ilse and the Falsi and all the bullshit involving characters like Bun Vazel, is bullshit. Because they were trying to recreate the success of Final Fantasy X, and it didn't land very well. For reasons that are obvious amongst anime fans that we already have amongst the VAs. Then, Final Fantasy XIV version 1 came and went in the form of The Matrix Reloaded. Then, it came back again with A Realm Reborn. And flocking to the writing of the game and the treatment that they were not getting from all the other MMORPGs, where players were vindicating them and harassing them and annoying them and pushing them out of being able to go into raid groups, comparative to those that were already lost to the machine that is Destiny, to which, just to say for a moment, put your hand, just imagine, my hand's on your shoulder. You did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. They came rolling in over the hills, saying, yes, 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 finally, the Final Fantasy that I actually want! They threw a lot of the energy from that and the goodwill that was being fostered by Yoshi P into 15 and got disappointed. Because who was expecting a road trip with the boys? And then they brought that same energy into the acting that they decided to bring for Final Fantasy 16. Especially considering those people who chose to focus more about, you guys, there's no black people in this world. You chose not to write black people? Because the discussion about the JRPGs was never about the game's mechanics. Because they don't have people talking about JRPGs like Resonance of Fate or Eternity of Fate. The gun kata JRPG that was developed by the same teams around things like Tri-Ace or Square Enix in general. I'd have to go look at it physically to make sure. Somebody can double check me on that in the chat room. But that's the name of the game, Resonance of Fate. It's got like a half split name between the two. You can look it up on Steam. They were only ever focused on the relevance that it had towards involvement. That's why the most recent come out before E33. I'm going to start calling it E33 because Clear, Obscure, Expedition 33, and Expedition 33 is a lot to say in a mouthful. E33, before its launch, people were doing this about Metaphor v Fantasio. And before Metaphor, in 22, 2 years out of COVID, it was people glazing the gameplay of The World Ends With You and then destroying its goddamn basis inside of Neo, The World Ends With You. Because I've now finally seen gameplay of that video game. The gameplay looks like a straight up improvement from The World Ends With You. But the writing, which is really the problem we're having here, the writing, the conversation, the culture around the Western RPG, the JRPG, and the CRPG, the writing is 100% completely ideologically captured and cut. And that's what led to the downfall in the mind's eye about those games. For all the times people have mentioned it while I was playing them, things like Shadow Hearts, things like Magna Carta, things like Dark Cloud and Dark Cloud 2, which is technically Dark Cloud and Dark Chronicle, the majority of the Phantasy Star series that has to do with the single-player games, and a couple of the story campaigns inside of the multiplayer games concerning the Dark Falls, Star Ocean, and that whimsy, wacky world and timeline, especially concerning Star Ocean 3 till the end of time. Other things and other games like it, all comparative from wherever they come from. Or simply, the people who say that they love Chrono Trigger, but they will never play Chrono Cross because they can't do it. Or the people that sleep on things like Etrian Odyssey. Or who also sleep on new up-and-coming games like that of Eiyuden Chronicles. Eiyuden. E-I-Y-U-D-A-N Chronicles. Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes, I believe the subtitle is. But it actually has over 130 playable characters that can be recruited to your party in the game. And older games, such as the Mana franchise. Sword of Mana, Visions of Mana, Trials of Mana, Tree of Mana. Both on the consoles, as well as the ones that are on the handhelds. And the reduxes, the remakes, that they made for the modern consoles and for modern syndication. Because I know I bought Trials of Mana. I was gonna buy Sword of Mana, but I could play Sword of Mana at any time on the emulator. I don't have to get it in new HD graphics. All of those games, including my personal favorite that nobody ever mentioned, Suikoden.
Ooh, I remember Suikoden. I played that. I haven't finished the first game, but I played that. I like it.
Another one off the top of my head that I know they just put out a completion for was the Breath of Fire series, everything from Breath of Fire 1 to 4. Another one off the top of my head that I know was released that the Gator Gamer of the Anime Boomers podcast was very excited for was the Lunar Star Complete Saga, including Lunar 1 and Lunar 2.
Please tell me they did one for Vagrant Story.
There might be, but you can of course be you can just be able to emulate Vagrant Story if you really want to that bad. As a member,
I have it on the PS3.
Like as a member,
somebody did a remaster of it.
Like as a member of the PCSX 2 and 1 modding community / team and staff for compatibility, it's fully playable. But back to my point.
Wow.
The amount of interest and the amount of discoverability for all of these JRPGs that have been here waiting for you to play them. You don't hear about them because there's not enough people like me to tell you about them on the social media app. Because the algorithm's fucked and you can't find our content to begin with in the first place. That's the first problem. Second problem, dumbass article writers that are originally working for the companies that have now since lost their jobs, if they were working at Polygon, amongst places like Valnet and shit like that. You're listening to them tell you what is good when they don't know what's good because they're told to repeat the talking points of their fucking masters. When they're employed to the multi-conglomerate company, they're telling you that you don't deserve to have a right to speak and live and your opinions are bad and your tastes are bad. When they become independent journalists, just like everyone's favorite blonde-haired clout shark, suddenly, please give me money, I am going to starve if you don't feed me. They can't tell you about the games because they're living hand to mouth to foot, paycheck to paycheck, just like I am. But they don't have the passion to set along for the side because their job is to write about what's upcoming and what's about to go out the door. Not about the shit that's supposed to keep you at home at night. Like it's your wife. And you need to come home to a nice warm bed of nostalgia. And third reason, Redditors. They don't care about what's good, they care about what's viral. The same way that they have in problem number 2. But they're tourists. They're only ever going to glaze what gets them clicks. Guess what doesn't get clicks? Old video games. That could be tedious to play because they probably have an old design schema that, there was a video made about it by Video Game Donkey. He said he didn't like Dragon Quest. Oh no! Oh, he's making shit posts. He was making shit posts, and now everybody's repeating his arguments as though they're right, even though he's wrong.
This reminds me of like people who bitch and whine and moan about Morrowind having hit chance because it's like, well, I took the iron dagger in the first room and I couldn't even hit a mud crab. It's like, well, you didn't build your character right. You didn't build your character to use daggers, you fucking idiot.
It's the same problems for Yes, it's the same problem for CRPGs that they have for the RPGs, and now is the entire reason that I bought Dragon Quest 11S, which was specifically to countervail the fact that he was lying in his content. The same way that I wanted to get Metroid Prime to countervail against David Jaff, who couldn't use the directional aim button to save his goddamn life, because he doesn't know how to use the base Nintendo Switch controller. All of these people are all victims of having no fucking palate. Of having no fucking palate. They don't have taste. They don't have style. They have no grace. And this fucking Kong has a funny face. They don't have standards. And they take in too much content. And they have no palate cleansers in between. They are so used to being able to get over and make money and make material and make content off of the backs of other people's words that they do not have the ability to deal with the new incoming flux of work because their work ethic is based on antagonizing people about the culture around something instead of the actual truth around something. It's the same shit in every genre that exists. It's the same fucking moralists going around and trying to obsess over what the content should be rather than what it is.
Can be, or what is, or what it has been. They just...
It's actually phrased the exact way. Talking about what gaming could be, but not celebrating it for what it is. And then changing it to match their viewpoint of what it's supposed to be. Long since this has been a problem with Persona. And long since it's been a problem with just Atlas games in general. We're going to group Persona, Megaten, and everything under the umbrella of Atlas. And a couple of things, especially including Disgaea, which is NIS Entertainment. And I guess we can also include things like Odin Spear and Vanillaware under that same banner. All of those Japanese hard games, they all exist under the banner of if you don't like it, you don't have to play it. And unfortunately, oh, I love these games. They're so good, but oh, the fan service, the anime, the fan service and the anime. You know what would make this much better? If Naoto was trans. And political topics. And political pandering. And heckin' epic Reddit Chungus memes.
La heckin' cool, bro. Did that just happen? I want to die already.
Constantly bitching about shit that is not relevant to the genre, and taking the opinion of fucking throwaway content creators like Crowcat, leading to us all necessarily needing to say, damn, that's a cool opinion. What YouTuber did you get that from? To the point that I've caught people stealing my arguments, stealing my opinions, verbatim in clips, and then pretending they came up with the shit. They've done it to all of us.
Oh, wow.
They do it all the time on TikTok. They upload our tweets and they use them to get themselves their own credits. And then they have the audacity to bitch about the shit instead of actually being truthful. For more on that, you can simply look at the video that I put out before I went live that one day, that's specifically focusing on the support strike inside of Marvel Rivals. That situation breaks it down exactly. Just take that situation and apply it to every other video game that applies, especially on the topic of JRPGs. That is the problem. And it's because of the fact that that happened. There have been multiple games that are dying or have died a slow death. Or deserve to die a slow death in the future. In chat, I'm seeing For Honor. Another one about that is Mordhau, for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
These games are only able to get back into relevance based on whether or not they're seeing a particular opinion that comes from a late heckin' epic Reddit Chungus meme that gets filtered through TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram's short fills and reads. And it's the slop that comes from channels like that of Smosh. And unironically, the fucking heckin' Reddit epic Lechungus, Big Girl Chunk, and super epic cuck Redditor opinions that we have all come to know and block, but we can't escape because other people think that's what the culture actually is supposed to be and is. That is what's holding back JRPGs, CRPGs, and Western RPGs in general. It's the people who don't want to appreciate it for what it's supposed to be, and also the ones that are trying to control the social narrative around them and change them into something that philosophically ruins them permanently. And for the games that they want to take under their umbrage and wing, we're already over time for you, but I'm gonna finish this point here and then let you have a response back. They are more focused on trying to claim something like Metaphor Refantasio as one of our leftist games, that it's very obvious the only reason they attach themselves to it is for the same reasons we do not like Jello Apocalypse, and why he went on that rant that he had, that I covered on camera, of him ranting about Epitaph Erased and his opinions about the So This Is Basically series of his videos. Lying through his teeth and saying they think that this is supposed to be a full dissertation of the series. No, this is supposed to be a hysterical, humorous crash out. It's supposed to be funny. You don't know how to take my opinion on this. But if you actually watch this material, it's very clear this person's opinion comes from a place of hatred about anime. So why the fuck would I pay you to fucking do the dub of an anime? Let alone why would I pay you to make content? Because your content's gonna come from the same source of hatred and animosity. Not built for camaraderie and the appreciation of the genre and its tropes that made it successful and made it interesting, but rather a sanitization of those concepts and then presenting it as though you have done something to metaphysically and critically change the genre forever. Yeah, changing it for the worse. What do you think about that?
It makes me worried about, especially in the case of something like RPG, if you're gonna get people like that involved, it makes me worry for things like remasters of old games, because it's like what you've discussed about something like SMT Nocturne's under the hood changes, along with the fucking merciful mode. I'm worried because the games that I want to see come back or have spiritual successors of, games like Morrowind or even the original Planescape Torment, they have some spiritual successors, but they never really popped off. They have they basically have cult status, but they never really popped off or had big of an impact in the industry as something like you could see in just Baldur's Gate 3 alone. And again, for better or for worse, it still made RPG history, and I have to accept that. And as somebody who wants to make his own RPGs, both pen and paper and video games, I'm not sure what to expect for myself. Like, should I expect that I'm gonna have to deal with fucking idiots like Donkey? Do I have to, or am I possibly gonna find my own niche in people who like the Pillars of Eternity games? Or even fucking more, I guess you could say, more modern somewhat RPGs, and something like the Mass Effect games, or Deus Ex, the prequel games, or even, what's another good example? Or something like the more recent Elder Scrolls. Am I going to find fans like that will actually see where my influences come from, play those games, and hopefully introduce that to people? Because that's the one thing I'm worried about. It's like, is it possible that the games of old are going to get trampled over by imitators or potentially bad actors? That what we were, I said this before, I was going to say this before when we were talking about Doom. I know you were struggling to talk about Doom, but mobile shooters, or I guess boomer shooters, are kind of having a heyday right now, but they're not as big and as open and as public as something like the new Doom games. What I'm hoping is that we have a similar thing for something like classic RPGs, or even classic CRPGs, or JRPGs, or WJRPGs, what have you. Could that potentially come back? Because that's what I would love to see. I want to see a spiritual successor to something like Daggerfall. That would be fucking crazy. On today's technology, we've already seen what Daggerfall plays on the Unity engine. It can't be impossible to remake something like that and expand on it. Like, when I bring up Morrowind, the Tamriel Rebuilt modding project, and also Project Tamriel, is older than the game itself. They were planning this shit before Todd, the almighty Todd, released it to the public.
Don't
They've
get
been
don't
working
get lost.
more with
Don't-
the
don't-
engine.
Don't get lost.
Sorry,
Stay,
sorry.
stay focused. Stay
But
focused.
something like that, a modding project like that that has genuine love and commitment from it, on an old boomer RPG from when I was just a baby, could that kind of game come back? Because I can see something like Baldur's Gate 3 Imitators coming back, and with something like Expedition 33, I can tell their influence, especially aesthetics-wise, came from JRPGs, not unlike Persona 5. I can tell. I can tell where their love and passion went to. But am I gonna be left in the dust? The weirdo little autist gremlin in the corner? Am I gonna get left behind?
Oh no.
I just want it to come back, that's all. I just want that style to come back. I want to make it, god damn it. It hurts that I don't have the resources to make it.
Well, I would say, again, that it's not that it left and it has to be brought back. It's that it needs
Right.
to be brought into the forefront and people need to speak passionately. Ooh, that's nice.
Right.
They have to speak passionately. I'm slamming crazy things. 1 second. Gamble chat!
No, it's fine.
Aww. I'll wear it. They have to be given and reminded about a sense of the accomplishment that we were able to succeed together with making and creating. When it came to the material benefits we're trying to encourage other people to get with the material we're supposed to be focused on. There are more people that are clearly focused. Damn, that's crazy, chat. How does he do it? He keeps getting away with it. It doesn't have any life, but that doesn't matter. They have to be reminded of the fact that we're supposed to be focused collectively together with creating opportunities for investment and involvement, not creating negativity for our investments and involvement. They have forgotten where we come from. And they have to be reminded of where we're going. Because if we don't remind them of where we came from and how we successfully made JRPGs some of the best content that you could ever get involved in, we are doing a disservice to them and to others. And we cannot keep letting this disservice go unheard and unseen. It is possible for us to be able to have fun with JRPGs, again, as we did so in the past. And it is possible to get involved with them in such a way in the future, and not allow for those that clearly have an investment in trying to benefit themselves in a snarkish way, decide that the project, so to say, of modern day video games is done over and does not deserve to be looked into anymore. We know that it is possible to make content in video games that people can get involved in and interested into. We know that it is possible. We have already achieved it. It's already done. What we have to do...
And I agree, Exo Crusher. I do have to be a Civ 11 for RPGs. I got to.
Yes.
I don't know how.
You just do it.
Alright.
You have to get people to accept that if they cannot appreciate the games for what they are, that they have to leave it the fuck alone. It's like an ex-boyfriend that was an amicable separation and split with their wife and or ex-husband. You love them, you want them to have good things happen for them, but your relationship with them is over. You cannot mourn what you clearly should be happy and proud of. You should be happy that you had a hand in creating and shaping a thing that leads to your satisfaction, not your dissatisfaction. You should not be angry about the things that you somehow have lost. You should be happy about the fact that you got to witness it happen.
Right.
If you cannot appreciate this, you don't actually want games to get better. You want to be responsible for having your hand at the finish line saying, I'm on the winning team. There are too many people that do not understand what the difference is. Because it's not supposed to be about attacking the things that we hate. It's supposed to be celebrating the things that we love. They do not love video games. Because if they did, they would talk about them. They don't talk about them. So,
Right.
you have to remember that these people do not play games. They just check shit out, and when it bores them, they leave. They do not stick around. They do not look back in on it and then come from their own decision. They would ask other people, hey, is this game any good? Most of the time, they do not care. You can't change it. They're just like the other people. You have to accept that if they're going to really get involved with it, they're going to meet it at their own pace, halfway, or not at all. And if they are able to arrive at that position, and they come to appreciate the game for what it is worth, then that is how that will function. Damn, that's a really good omen wand. They will appreciate that, and they will accept it for what it is. And if they cannot accept it for what it is, and they would rather put the onus on you and others for whether or not they're going to do it or not, then it is those things that are then going to be responsible for whether or not the experiment, the process that is fans of those video games mattering at all. Because if nobody interacts with the concept and nobody fucks with the concept, then it's dead. And you don't have to worry about it anymore.
If you want there to be a fire, you gotta light your own spark. You have to willingly do it. You have to. Even in little ways, you have to.
Yes. Which is why it's so damn important that we don't put so much fucking energy into these people that would rather distract us with shit that is unimportant. I'd rather put my energy into the shit that is important. And that is what I choose to put my passion for. Because if I do not put my passion into it myself and stay focused on that passion, then I'm responsible for the death of it just as much as they're responsible for the death of it. Period. Right, good point. Good talk. Where are we at? Are we near
I hope
3
I didn't
hours?
take up too long, because I know I got, like... Alright.
No, this is actually exactly just about the amount of time that we wanted. Because we're now at 6:35. We're 7 minutes away from a clean 3 hours. That's about how long I wanted to be live for. So, thank you for the conversation. And now I'm gonna start closing things up.
Alrighty.
Oops, shit! Accidentally.
Bye, everybody.
Accidentally invited him. How do I do this? Can I undo it? I guess there's only one way to do it. Okay, cool. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming and attending. Thank you to both of our 2 members of parties of the audience that chose to interact today. And for everybody else with the greater extenses and reaches that can hear my voice and see my beautiful black face, thank you for coming and staying with us. I am Single Player Carl. This has been my chat. And this has been Yap-In number 13. Everybody, go out and have a good time. We will see if we will be rejoining tonight. Hopefully, I will not have taken too long, and we can get this versus chat underway. If we don't do it tonight, we will do it later on in the next week, somewhere on between Thursday and Saturday. Later on next week, we will also be doing the first movie night of the month again on the 15th. So get ready to see that and hear that and do that. And I have been your humble host. Thank you for being in my house. It's been wonderful. You ain't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. Thank you all. I will be reading you in the funny papers. And I will be... Oh my god. I will be reading you all in the bill, again, the funny papers. And I will be billing you for my therapy. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and the mother lovers that love their mothers. Especially if you're fucking each other's moms. Goodbye, everybody.